Thanks for coming. The man I'm going to introduce actually doesn't need an introduction, and I'm going to do it as well. He played from the beginning 80s to the end of the 90s for Violence, from 2002 to 2018 for Machine Head. Here is Phil Demmel.
You guys are way too far away. Hey. All right. Took me long enough to get up here. Now you guys got to come forward. I'm all about the connection. I don't, it's hard for me to be on the stage and not feel like I could be a part of you guys. So, how do you pronounce it again? Whoosh. Whoosh. God bless you. Whoosh. Thank you for having me here, man. It's amazing, It took us like 13 hours to get here and like a 90-minute flight, but came straight here. We're ready to fucking rock out. I did the whole show last night with my reading glasses right here. So not metal. So fucking lame. So I'm not going to make that mistake again. Phone in my pocket. All right. What am I going to do? Photograph this guy. So I'm going to tell you my story. You guys want to hear my story? Yeah. All right. First things first. Too quiet. I got to hear you say, when I say give me a fuck yeah, you're going to say, yeah. Okay, for real this time. Give me a fuck yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So I was born in Dublin, California, which is east of San Francisco. And Mom was super musical. She was in the church choir. She played in folk bands, and I didn't think that was very cool, even at a very young age. But she sang, and I thought that was cool. Always a piano in the house. Lots of stimulation in the music sense. Dad could not sing a lick. He couldn't clap in time. So all the musical, thanks Mom, you set me up. So, grew up loving all types of music. They listened to a lot of, they had the 8-tracks, so it was like Engelbert Humperdinck and, all the, Frank Sinatra and shit like that. But I got into, the first kind of music I got into was kind of like discos, because it was the 70s. And I didn't know that wasn't cool. Because my older cousin, who lived next door, his name was Ron, and he had the AC/DC records and so I'd hear him, playing. What the fuck is that? What are you doing? I said, well, this is, kind of like hard rock. I said, wow, killer. And then he showed me Kiss Alive. Then it was all about Kiss. And it's like, God, I want to perform, but I don't know what I want to do yet. So my first time on stage was 4th grade, and. Do you guys remember the song Convoy? It was C.W. McCall. Anyways, probably way too young for that song, but it's this guy, he's talking on CB, he's a trucker, so it's a 10-4, good buddy, this is here's a rubber duck, and I'm wearing a trucker hat, and my dad built a cardboard truck. I was sitting behind this cardboard truck, and I have swimming goggles on for some fucking stupid reason, because I thought it looked good, I don't know. And my mom was holding the boom stand, because the mic wasn't working, so she held it up for me. And so, that was true love right there. She's in the middle of this stage holding it up so I could, come on back now, got Smokey Bear over. And in my tiny little 8-year-old voice or whatever it was at the time. And so that gave me my first sense on stage. And scared shitless until the next day when everybody in school would go, oh, that was cool, man, Smokey Bear, rubber duck, And so I knew I wanted to perform. Kiss gave me the theatrics of it all. But I didn't know what I was going to play, because I'd look at Peter Criss's drums and they had the Kiss thing on it, and so I told my parents I wanted to play drums. So they say, yeah, of course. So they buy me the practice pad kit to make sure I'm going to be as I know now, it's just like, you just don't buy them a fucking kit, make them show some interest in it. So after not showing too much interest in it, they bought me a kit anyways, and I proceeded to make the KISS logo everywhere and put aluminum foil on top of it, and and throw concerts, and my buddies would come over and they played baseball bat guitars, and we played KISS songs in the backyard, and put on the makeup, and it was always 4th of July, so we light firecrackers off and in, and then we'd all jump in the pool at the end, like it's a big finale, it's over, and then the record player would get wet, and because we played records back then, and then my cousin Ron, who's telling me disco sucks, but I'm still into it. I'm sneaking tape recorder into the Saturday Night Fever movie and recording the songs because I want to hear burn, baby, burn, fucking yeah, you fucking love this song. It's great. So I'm trying not to get pigeonholed, but I'm learning that, some you can't listen to this if you listen to this, and I'm trying to ignore that. And I hear AC/DC for the first time. And Angus Young made me want to play guitar. He's the reason why I play guitar. You can hear when he's pissed and just upset, or if he's drunk, or if he's horny. You felt what Angus was feeling at that point, and I really dug that. And I'm an emotional, Aries dude, and I need that outlet, and to be able to have that and be able to speak through a guitar in that sense is what I was looking for. And so AC/DC was the band. I'm getting into bands like Foreigner and Ted Nugent, Aerosmith, and all this. And then I start learning how to play some of the songs, and I start going to high school, and I go to my first show, and it's Randy Rhoads playing The Day on the Green on the Blizzard of Oz tour. And it was like Angus on steroids, because this guy's playing, classical stuff, and he is the passion that he is playing with. You believed every note that Randy was playing. And that led me to Jackson Guitars. Randy played the Concorde, and I was like, what the fuck is that? All the points, and it looked cool, and it helped that he looked so fucking cool doing it. But that drew me to Jackson Guitars and starting to write music and jamming with other dudes, and we're listening to bands like fucking Judas Priest now, and things are getting a little heavier, and a little more distorted, and then Iron Maiden comes along and just rules the landscape, Killers, and I went backwards and got the first record, and that's all we learned was Iron Maiden tunes, and all my lyrics were about the gallows pole, and because hallowed be thy name, and that's all I wrote. I had like 10 songs about somebody gonna get hung, and my parents were married on my mom's birthday, so they're having this big celebration, and I was supposed to be there, but I couldn't go to any concerts because I didn't have the grades, and I needed to, be grounded. And Iron Maiden's playing with the Scorpions on the Blackout tour, Number of the Beast tour. There's no fucking way I'm missing that show. So what would you do if you're 15? You run away from home on your mom and dad's anniversary, I had it all planned out, and I called home, my parents were, okay, coming home for the party, whatever, and I'm all like, Dad, I'm not gonna, he's all, Iron Maiden. Inside I'm chuckling, but he's all, I'll deal with you when you get home, son. And I knew in my mind what that was going to be, but it was fucking Maiden. And they got Eddie that comes out, and he's super tall, and it was a mind-blowing show. Loved Maiden. Writing songs with, you guys heard of Exodus? God, it's so fucking quiet here. Give me a fuck yeah! All right, have you heard of Exodus? Yeah! All right, so the singer, Steve Souza, me and his brother were jamming together. That's why I'm writing my stupid songs called, like, answer the phone, because I can't get over you. All these fucking stupid 15-year-old lyrics, and we don't know if we're going to be like a hard rock band or, we love Maiden, so we're going heavy too, so we enlist Steve Souza to sing the first time he's ever sang in a band before, and he's singing, with us, and he wants to be kind of Jeff Tate and singing kind of falsetto, Queen of the Rock. So you can imagine what all that sounded like. and we're wearing spandex, because that's what you did at the time. It's the fucking early 80s, you know, and it's just silly. Like I had these silver spandex, but I cut them up, and I wore them over black ones, and I had the white leather, because Dave Murray from Iron Maiden had the white leather, you know, on the back of Killers, and you're like, fucking white leather, that's killer. It's, you know, not so killer anymore. And so Zed breaks away, and he joins a band called Legacy. And I go and see this, I'm getting into the local scene, and there's bands like Metallica coming up, and so things are getting fucking heavier. You know, you listen to Metallica, you go into the local scene, it's starting to grow, and I go see this band who's playing, they're an LA-based band, they're opening for a band, local band that I knew called Las Rocket, and it's a band called Slayer. It's their first Northern California appearance, and I'm not a big, like, smoker. I mean, I'm here in Holland, so you guys know all about that, but I can't smoke pot, and I can't get high. I just can't fucking handle it. But I go to see Slayer, and, you know, in my 16-year-old mind, I was 83, so yeah, I was 16 years old. And so me and my girlfriend and a couple buddies would go in my parents' van. We had a cool van, you know, and there's a party van, and Devil's got the van tonight, everybody pile in, you know. And so we're in my parents' van, and I smoke a bunch of hash before I go in. Not a good idea. And so I'm stoned, and I'm watching in the Keystone, Berkeley, where the show was at. The stage is here, they had a place to sit here, and then the backstage was here. So the band has to walk through the crowd, kind of like I had to fucking get up here. And what happens? Oh yeah, I'm fucking stoned, and I hear the fucking fucking Halloween starts playing. And in my baked teenage mind, I'm like, what the fuck is happening now? And you hear this kind of clanging starting to come by, and it's like nails and shit, and then you see Slayer come just walking right past. Thing from Halloween, green light, fucking Slayer in makeup and spandex come walking by, and my mind is just kind of blown at this point. I don't know what the fuck is happening. And so then they go on and go into fucking Evil Has No Boundaries, and it's, you know, Green Channel. I'm like, never smoking hash again. Are they playing this fast, or am I just under the influence? Which it was actually, both were true at the time, and fucking, that was it for me. You know, I had this, it was the fork in the road kind of at this point. I'm starting to get serious about playing. I was a jock in high school, defensive captain of the football team, played basketball for years, played soccer for years, and the coaches want me to cut my hair, and I'm like, am I gonna go commercial route and wear a tour of spandex, and then Slayer comes along, and I grew up in a predominantly religious family. My mom's still, well, she just retired, but she's the pastor's assistant, and, you know, always sang in the choir, really involved in the church. Dad was an area minister, and I bring home the Show No Mercy fucking record, and it's, I am the Antichrist, and, you know, their minds are like, what the fuck? And Slayer is the reason why I decided to go and play heavy music. And but a lot of people have said that. But growing up in the Bay Area at that time was fucking so special. You know, I saw Metallica with Cliff. I saw, you know, it all kind of began. And to watch them, and then Zet goes and joins, he was in Legacy, which became Testament. And Zet goes to Exodus, so Zet's in Exodus, and Chuck Billy is now in Testament, and they all live in Dublin, California. You know, me, Zet, Chuck, my cousin Troy Lucetta from a band called Tesla. We all grew up in Dublin, California, so it's like, per capita, I'd put us right there with any city as far as, you know, heavy music is involved, and so it's a pretty cool thing. And where was I at? Where was I going? It's been a long day fucking traveling. That, and then heavy music. James Evans, everybody. my Jackson's father. So I start playing with local high school dudes who weren't jocks, and they weren't my buddies. I broke away from my band, we were called On Parole after the Motorhead record. And I joined this other band called Warlock. And we're doing like Exciter covers and we're playing heavier shit and they become Death Penalty. And I start writing faster tunes and we become Violence in my senior year of high school. And the first Violence show, June 1st, it's like my senior year, I'm about to graduate, and I joined this band called Violence, you know, and they got a song called Gutter Sled, and my dad finds the lyrics to Gutter Sled, and he's like, who the fuck wrote this song, you know? And I didn't tell him, you know, I'm not going to tell him it's a drummer, because then the drummer can't come over to my house, you know, it's just, so we're playing parties, and then we're getting to open for Legacy, and we're getting these cool local gigs, and we're watching Testament make it, and Death Angel make it, and all these bands are getting signed, and it's just like, wow, this gives us so much inspiration and hope, and you know that our friends are making it, so we can do it too. And then we start drawing real well, and we start doing really good, and then we think, fuck those guys, we kicked their fucking ass, you know. You know, we get this attitude, and that's how the Bay Area was. It was this competition because you could go to 3-4 shows a night or a week, and it was this awesome, you know, friendly, not so friendly competition to where it's like, oh, they do this many, so we're gonna do this, and I'm gonna make this shirt or whatever, and it spawned this really cool thing. Being so blessed to be part of that time and see all that happen. Go on our first tour when I'm 21 years old. Record comes out, and you know you get the cassette because you had cassettes back then, and you're reading small print, and you're so proud of what's happening, and it's. I'm back playing with those guys now. And I think that we really took for granted the first time around, and we're not doing it this time. You know, it's just weekends because I'm 52, they're really 50-year-olds, and they've got the jobs that they can't leave, you know, so we're doing like weekend stuff. So we played the Alcatraz Festival a couple months ago, Sana was there. Good to see you, by the way. And so we're going to come over and play Bloodstock, and where are we at? We're in Holland, so I don't think we're playing any place close here, but it's very fortunate to be able to regroup with those guys again, because of this whole space in the middle that I'm just skipped over. I meet Rob Flynn in 1987. He's playing with a band called Forbidden. We needed a guitar player, and he'll deny it, but we straight up stole him from that band. And he wrote in our sense, you know, and he was right. They were really melodic, really talented dudes, and there was something special about him that we, you know, just gravitated towards, and took him in, and we wrote a record together. Well, I wrote the first record, but we wrote a couple records together, and it was fucking awesome, you know. But again, 22-year-olds thinking that they're Led Zeppelin at the point, and then Nirvana, and Alice in Chains, and Soundgarden, and the fucking Seattle scene comes down and just wipes out the entire thrash scene. You know, some survived. You know, Pantera, Sepultura, Prong, a lot of bands that we like were able to kind of bridge that gap because they had more groove. But Violence is just no dynamics. There's no dynamics. It's just fucking trash. And Rob breaks off, starts Machine Head, and they instantly become my favorite band. You know. Violence breaks up, I start singing, and I start down tuning, and we basically become a Machine Head wannabe band. You know, I write, it's close, well, it doesn't really sound, it kind of sounds like them, but, you know, so Torque is the band that we did. I did a record, and there was a lot of Machine Head worship on that record. I really loved what those guys did. And, I get married, kind of get out of music for a bit, because that's what I thought you should do when your wife wants you to do something, so, yeah. Yeah. Machine Head loses Aru. They're looking for a guy for a couple weeks to fill in. And I offer my services to Adam online at AOL Messenger, because that'll tell you how long ago that was. And he says, yeah, let's see if we can make this work out. So I go over, did we play Holland? We did an off show with Propane. It was this 2002. When I yeah, we played like Grass Pop, and we had this awesome festival run, and it was fucking great, you know. And I come home, you know, I did the tour, and I don't want to badmouth her, so I'm going to skip this part, anyways. But so, I come home from tour with Marriage Falls Apart. Fucking, we get divorced. They're still looking for somebody. They're writing Ashes as a 3-piece, and you know, I come a knocking, and they're all, well, we've been waiting, you know, and it was awesome chemistry. We write the record, you know, everything's fresh, and, you know, I come in with this, you know, little did I know, I came in with, all right, I'm in a signed band now. It's going to be killer, we're going to tour. And behind the scenes, they're like, fuck, we don't have a deal. We just lost our deal with Roadrunner. Nobody wants to sign us right now. And I think I brought in that energy to maybe give them some hope or something to kind of balance out where they were at. And the result is Through the Ashes of Empires. And fucking awesome record. It was an amazing time for me. I had, you know, the super short hair. I looked like Ross from Friends. You know, I had that flippy two in the front, you know. And that's when I started writing for the band, you know, and we had a cool run. At the end, it was kind of, I think that they were kind of in like, are we still going to be able to survive as a band type deal? So we really bared down on the writing, and, you know, the end result was The Blackening, and a record I'm extremely proud of, and, you know, wrote a lot for, and the touring cycle was amazing. We opened for Slipknot for a year, and Metallica for a year, and opened for Lamb of God, and Heaven and Hell with Dio, and, you know, all this great fucking touring, and all these great experiences, and really looking back, you know, so fortunate to have all of these things happen and to be a part of something so fucking special. That record was really fucking special, and so don't take for granted. You know, I tried to learn with the violence thing. Don't take it for granted, man, because Nirvana and Alice in Chains can come back in and wipe everything back away. You know, that roller coaster can go away. We wrote a record called The Locust too that I had a pretty heavy hand in writing. I did about a quarter of wrote a lot of lyrics on that record. Then we get Jared in the band, and he was like I was, you know, all this fresh, you know, awesome dude, this kid that can sing and play bass and play guitar and knows music and feels music, and it's just, you know, we write Bloodstone and Diamonds as a group, and it's fucking killer, you know. Really love that record and the vibe on that, and we stopped doing festivals, and we stopped doing an evening with Machine Head, which was fun. It was great, you know. We get to play, and it's a big hooray for me, you know. It's like no other bands and a lot of us, and it was a good time. But after a while, it becomes this bubble that you live in, and there's only 11 people in that bubble for 11 weeks at a time, and there's no festivals, so you're not seeing your friends anymore, and it really, I'm a social dude, man. I need to be out and talking with my friends and hanging with my friends and seeing my friends, and as awesome as it was playing for that long, I think it really wore me down in that sense. And then we get to the last record. I'm gonna choose my words really carefully. There are moments that I really enjoy on that record, and I'm gonna kind of leave it at that. We got to the end of the road. I don't want 2 years of my life to really darken the other 14 that were fucking killer and amazing. So I want to really shine a big light on that part of my career, because that band and that has given me every opportunity. I wouldn't be fucking here, obviously, if that didn't happen. I think that I've earned a lot of things, but I think that being part of that experience, it was such a gift, and, you know, I'm really grateful for it. I'm grateful for all of you guys being here, and I'm tired, I'm getting emotional, so I'm going to play a fucking song. You want to hear a tune? Yeah! That's the wrong fucking answer. Give me a fuck yeah. Fuck yeah! I haven't even talked about the guitars or Jackson or anything, and they're like the reason why I'm here. So, the King V is something that I started with them in 2007. Brian McDonald was a big Violence fan, so he brought me on board. Let's do a signature, you know, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is awesome, you know, Jackson wants to do a signature. And so I started with the King V. I developed the cutouts, and it was awesome. The guitar is the reason why I was able to quit doing construction. You know, it was the reason that it gave me, music became my day job once people started buying the guitars. And if you have one, thank you fucking very much. So it's been a great run with I've been playing Jackson since 1985. My first Jackson, I don't think I've told this story on this yet. My first Jackson, my old guitar player, Troy, he had a buddy who owed him money, you know, I think it was a dope deal gone wrong or something like that. But like he took his guitar from him and like as payment, you know, it was a early Rhodes. It was an early Randy Rhodes, and he knew that I liked it, so I swapped him my guitar and $200 for this guitar. And Violence is playing the Omni in Oakland, and it's a sold-out show, and it's packed, and we're in the middle of the show, and the monitor guy comes over, taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, man, I fucking hate to do this to you, but you know, come here. I knew my dad was at the show, so I thought something happened to my dad, and he pulls me through the back door, and the doors open up, and there's fucking 4 Oakland police there, and the dude whose guitar it is. And with him, his girlfriend, and his mom. And he's sitting there going, yeah, motherfucker. Cops cuff me. I'm cuffed. They take the guitar back. They take me out to fucking, I'm in the back, and Violence is playing. And then I think Phil's, you know, Sean's like, oh, Phil doesn't get boned in the butt tonight in jail or something like that. They're just fucking playing. So my dad's an ex-cop, and he comes out and flashes, hey, what's going on? And so the guy, no, I didn't steal the guitar. All he wanted was his guitar back. So lesson learned. Lesson learned. They pull me out of the cop car. I go back inside, I stage dive, and I borrow a guitar from the support act, and we finish the set.
Yes,
that's fucking rock and roll. Can I get a fuck yeah? Yeah! What am I doing first? So what I'm going to play tonight are songs that I've written. These are riffs that I've written. Everything you hear will be something that I've written. Everything you hear is not going to be everything that I've written. So, this, what are we playing? Oh, first song is something that I wrote on the Bloodstone, what? Yeah, thank you. He's giving me, what is it when you fucking...
Cue?
No. When you're trying to guess, when you say, oh, 2 words, and you don't get...
Charades.
Yeah, charades. We just did charades. All that for, like, little payoffs. But this is the first song that I wrote for the Bloodstone and Diamonds session. So this is the first thing that I kind of came up with. And it's kind of truncated because I took out the riffs that I didn't write. So it's going to be a little abbreviated. This is a song called Killers and Kings. And go. And go. Go. Stop. And back it up. And this is a song called Killers and Kings. Come on, Stein. song. I think we need to warm up a little more. Sound all right? Fuck girl. Right on. Yeah, that was the first song I wrote, and I felt it was really Lamb of God-y. You know, super Lamb of God to me, like when I wrote the first part, it was like, this is your last America. You know, I just hear Randy in my voice, so it got switched up a little bit for that. So, it's almost to the day that I quit Machine Head. It's the 24th today? The 25th? 25th. You lose a day. I went to, I was in London for a couple of days. I went to go see the Sisters of Mercy at the Roundhouse. It was awesome. It was great. And I got fucking hammered. Ended up going out with the dudes after, and like, if you follow me on Instagram, you see me singing with them. I posted up today, and like, but I haven't really recovered from that fucking day, you know. I was hungover on Sunday, and I've been jet lagged for a couple of days, and like last night was the first night that I actually woke up to an alarm. Like I slept through, I've been getting up at 3:30, 4 in the morning, and so I got to sleep in. It was good because of the fucking travel day we had today. So, yeah. And where was I going with that? I don't fucking know. So yeah, it's almost a year to the day that I quit. And it's been a crazy ride since then. You know, I didn't want to do the tour. I was hoping that they'd replace me. But then Dave quit too. So it was like, you know, I'm not going to do the tour if you don't do this. It's like, okay, well, I guess we're going to fucking do the tour then. It was awkward, as you can imagine it was. It was cool to be able to hang with people that you see and say goodbye in that sense. And yeah, so it's been a busy year. And it's been cool, and it's been weird. And I went from, you know, we quit, the last show was in Santa Cruz, California. Did you go? You were there, yeah. Of course you were. And so my wife has been minding our business. We own a bar, and we have a crazy, if you see my Instagram, a fucking crazy 3-year-old son now. His name's Wolf. You don't name your son Wolf and expect him to be docile, you know, he's fucking all over the place, a handful. So she's been minding all this while I'm gone. And it was a long tour. I was gone for a bit. And so I'm finally coming home. Okay, I'm going to be home for a while, you know, all this, you know. And she's like, all right. I said, come down here, hang out with your friends, get fucked up. And she does, gets hammered. She's in the pit for Killers of Kings. And she makes her way up front, and there's a term called hunting and fishing. And, you know, because one eye's hunting and one eye's fishing, you know. And so I see her all fucked up. She makes it upstairs, and she's throwing up all over my cousins upstairs, and like she's just puking her guts out. So I play Goodnight in the Machine Head for me, and I just bail with her, take her home through the mountains. She's throwing up in the car, and you're wearing the Most Valuable Ranger shirt here. I mean, you won one as well. But I would hand out a T-shirt to people in my front row that I was connecting with the most on this one night, and I call it my Most Valuable Ranger, you know. And so the next morning when she got up, you know, she puts on the shirt. She's the Most Valuable Ranger, man. She raged. And so it's like, all right, I'm home. You know, we got all this time. Can help out now. And she's laying in bed, and I get a text. And I drop the phone. And it's from Carrie King. And I got goosebumps. Look at her standing up. And I pick it up and I read it again. She's like, what the fuck? What's going on? And it's, hey man, you know, can you learn 19 songs and be out here in 2 days? And I show it to her, and she's like, you gotta go. You know, after all that, and there was a point where I didn't think I was good enough. And to be in that band, or to be in a band, I didn't know what my worth in the industry was. I didn't know what my endorsers were going to think after I quit the band. Was it the band or was it the man? And getting that text was so much justification that, hey, you know, can you come and play in Slayer? So it was maybe a career-saving moment for me to get that text and to get that connection and have Gary say all these cool things and have, you know, Carrie going, oh, fuck, you're the dude, you know, that's... So, Saturday night is Santa Cruz, that's over. Sunday, get the text. I spend it with her and the kids. It's our pizza night. We have pizza Sunday every fucking Sunday for the past fucking 45 years. And so the Monday is the divorce day. I'm going to pick up my gear and, you know, this is yours and, you know, so that's my Monday. Tuesday morning, I'm on a flight to Germany, to Munich, to fucking join Slayer. The whole flight just, I got my Spotify list set up and I'm starting to go through songs because there's some songs that I wasn't too familiar with, some of the newer stuff. And so I get on the flight, we take off, you fucking didn't download your Spotify fucking playlist. So I hop on and it's all these comedy of errors as I'm getting going, but then I just bared down and went through the structures and listened to everything and, you know, hammered out 19 songs by the time I landed and got in the room, and then my guitars don't show up, you know, so fuck it, I'm losing like 18 hours of practice time, you know. But Carrie's got one guitar to drop tuning for the song Payback, which is good because I don't really know it, so I was able to practice the one, so I spend that night transposing all these riffs from drop B into, you know, E flat standard and trying to figure shit out, and you can't really play along, so you just have to watch the fingering because YouTube is a wonderful goddamn thing these days, you know. Back in my day, I was listening to cassettes and, you know, pause, play, wait, Dave Murray, hit that note, what's, you know, what are these guys playing? So, but I did the Slayer thing, man, and it was a blur, and it was amazing, and it was, you know, everybody asks, like, what was it like playing with Slayer? It's like, exactly what you fucking think it would be like. It was fucking amazing, you know. Tom Araya and Carrie and these legends, and Paul's an old friend, and on their last tour, and I'm playing on the 35th anniversary of Show No Mercy gets out, which was the record that I was, you know, I smoked hash that's the last time I smoked hash. And, you know, that was, all these connections are coming around, and the first show in I think it was Denmark. How can I not know that? It was Denmark. And the intro's going, and we're getting ready. It's my, you know, I watched Gary play a couple shows, and it's my turn to go up, and the intro's rolling, and I'm watching the kabuki, and I'm getting caught up in the watching the show. It's like, motherfucker, you're about to fucking go up. And then I realized, I don't know what my cue is. What am I supposed to be up there, you know? And Tom and his brother Johnny, who's his tag, awesome dude. And I looked at him, I said, Tom, when am I supposed to go up? He's all, and he gives me this look like, you're supposed to be up there right now, man. What are you, and I'm all, fuck. And I go for the stairs, and he grabs him, he's all,
Fuck.
welcome to fucking Slayer, you know, and you get up and you wait for the kabuki to drop, and then you just lose it because it's just like, I had 2 rules for those 4 shows that I did. The first rule was don't fuck up, and the second rule was don't smile. You're in fucking Slayer right now. Don't fuck. There's no smiling in fucking Slayer, you know.
That was the hardest part.
And so, got through the shows, and it was, you know, an amazing thing. And by the time it was all over, I was able to go to YouTube and watch everything that was happening and see the madness that's happening behind me, because I was like oblivious to it. I had my wedge, here's my Carrie wedge, here's my Paul wedge. And it's like trying to stay with him on Chemical Warfare and just listening and trying to be fucking good, you know, and trying to do Jeff justice and trying to do Gary justice, these legends that, you know, the shoes that I'm, you know, filling for the moment, you know, and wanted to prove myself, you know, and pretty proud of the effort that I put in and how it all turned out. So, but then I see all the madness on the videos of, you know, pyro and scrims and fucking pentagrams and upside down crosses and all this shit, and I'm just like, my mom gonna show this to her coworkers at work, you know, and like fucking awesome. How amazing is it? And so that was the end of last year, and I've done stuff with Metal Allegiance now, and did a record with Mike Portnoy and Bobby Blitz and Mark Mengy. It's gonna be coming out, and I've filled in for a band called Nonpoint, and you know, all my friends. It's just cool getting out and jamming and and being single and mingling. The violent stuff is fun. You know, we might do some new stuff. But it's kind of got a couple things that are going to be happening next year that are super cool that I can't fucking talk about, so it's such a fucking tease, and I'm sorry about that. But, you know, when it happens, you'll go, that's what he was talking about. That's what he was fucking talking about. So another thing that I wrote for this, because now that I'm not warmed up again, I put together a medley of a bunch of riffs that I wrote. And what you're going to hear are some riffs that are kind of like in the form that I wrote them. Like there's some riffs from my previous band, Torque, and they're, you'll go, oh, that's that song. But then it's not, because you'll hear how I originally wrote it, and then things change as you bring it to the band, and things go that way. So there's 6 songs that you should recognize. There will be a quiz after. You guys want to hear it?
Yeah.
Want to rock out a little bit? Can I get a fuck yeah?
Fuck yeah!
So, that's better. Okay, this is just a medley that I wrote, so it's a fucking Phil riff medley, jam, something. And go. you go. It's weird playing that harmony with, because that's me playing bass and me playing the other guitar too. It's kind of weird. But it is what it is, right? Do you dig it?
Yeah.
All right. Right on. Okay, there's 6 songs. Name one. Farewell Arms. That was actually 2 parts. I did 2 parts of it. Farewell Arms. What's that? No aesthetics. Come on. What part were you clapping to? I'm going to give them to you.
Beautiful morning.
Beautiful morning. Thank you. Beautiful morning. Into Slanderous. Slanderous. The first song was In the Presence of My Enemies, which was the first song that I wrote for the band. And then the Halo solo. And the Now We Die solo. So there you go. Damn it. I was going to say that. Shit. Good. How do you say it? Goose. 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 Yeah? All right. So while I'm warmed up, I'm going to play this next one. So what has happened? What has happened? Me and Dave McLean got together and recorded these tracks. Me and Dave have kept in contact, and we're still jamming, and we're working on, possibly doing some stuff. He's doing Sacred Reich, which is rad. And Violence and Sacred Reich are actually touring Australia next year. So it's cool that we get to be buds and tour together. And how's it going over there? Are you hiding? There you go. How's it? What's your name, man? Dave. Dave?
Fine.
Or Dane? Okay. Do you play? Do you play guitar?
Yes.
Awesome. What brought you here tonight?
You.
Awesome. Have you heard of me?
Yes.
Excellent. And I don't know why I called you out. It's just, there's no reason. This isn't part of the show or anything. I just felt, hey man, how are you? That's awesome that you're here. How old are you?
13 years old.
That's amazing.
Yeah, man.
I have a 13-year-old that plays drums. And you guys will never jam together, but it would be cool if you did. Well, thanks for coming, man. You ready to hear another song?
Okay.
All right. Because your answer was, that was a rhetorical question, because I'm going to fucking play it anyways. Forget my language in front of your 13-year-old son, but it's the real world. So me and Dave, we did these tracks together, and we actually, at the beginning of the Catharsis record, we wrote a song. And we jammed on it, and we dug it, and it didn't make it on the record. It didn't even make it past kind of that jamming point. So it got put in the bank, and fucking A, we opened the bank, and we recorded it. So would you guys like to hear it?
Yeah.
Give me a fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
All right, I think my right hand's ready for this one. There's a lot of down picking in this one. You're gonna get a lesson in down picking here. Okay, you ready? I don't know if I am. Let me grab a new pick. Hold on. Would you like the old pick? Okay. Right channel. All right, so this is just called the Dave and Phil Jam Alama Ding Dong or something. I don't know. No name. We've got a guy who's gonna put some vocals on it probably within the next couple weeks. So, and then I gotta get a bass player to play the bass because I'm a shitty bass player and we want it to sound good. So, maybe James back there will put some tracks on. He's a guitar player, wants to be bass player. All right, I don't know what to call it. So, somebody yell out a name. Goose. Goose. That's what we're gonna call it. This one's called Goose. you so much. That concludes the musical part of this. Do you guys have any questions? Anything?
What's your favorite riff?
My favorite riff. That one right there.
Yeah.
That's my latest favorite riff. I really like. I wrote a riff for Seasons Wither. Which was a torque riff, but the triplets thing I just carry through in a lot that I do. But love that one. That one. I dig that one a lot. Any? Tuning. What tuning do I like? You know, this is drop B, and like, so it sounds heavy, but in the past year I've been playing in like the record I did with Portnoy and Bobby Blitz is all standard tuning, and it's on a hardtail, and it's I'm getting away. I'm trying to work on working on that instead of working on the left hand, and I feel like it's coming around a little bit. It used to be fucking shitty. And now it's actually something that I can listen to myself playing, so that's a big thing. But I prefer playing in like E standard or E flat because the guitar sound it stays in tune better that way to me. It's the way the guitar's I think meant to be, and so I'm digging doing that. So I don't know what I'm going to be writing in. I have some stuff that's in like a standard tune or whatever. But there you go. Any other questions?
If you could fit into any band in the world, like you did with Slayer, which one would you choose?
Any band in the world. Fuck. Well, this is going to take me back to like I listen to anything and don't give a fuck. You know, I play guitar for Elton John. Elton John is my favorite, you know, from back in the day. Well, pretty much my first record was Elton John's Greatest Hits, and him and Bernie Taupin, the writing together, and just the way they tell stories, it's just fucking brilliant, man. What metal band? Won't put it that way. I would play, you know, not wishing any ill will on Kirk or anything, but, you know, definitely playing Metallica. I listen to a lot of alternative, like, rock bands like Shinedown and Seven Dust and Alter Bridge. You know, if I was good enough, I'd play with Mark Tremonti and Alter Bridge. But Miles Kennedy is fucking, God, he's a killer guitar player, man. Talk about left-hand trem. He's fucking so good. So, I don't know, bands like that. I've been fortunate to jam with, you know, to play songs with, you know, with Grohl and with fucking Corey Taylor and Lombardo and fucking who else? Hetfield jammed with us, you know, and it's, I feel, dude, every step that I take that I'm able to play guitar for a living is just another and I hate to, you know, hashtag blessed, you know, I hate to use that word blessed, but it is, I'm so grateful for what I'm able to do and what I've been able to do and to be able to hang here with you guys right now and to, you know, to do this for a living and have a wife that has done it and is doing it so she understands and so there's not this push and pull, it's hard being away, but, you know, it's fucking insane. And we own a bar. And that's our, you know, I make money doing this, but, you know, that's how we make our living. So it's you know, my cover band plays the bar or, you know, whatever. It's fucking, it is, I will not complain. I try to put forth a positive energy and try to pay it forward in that sense. So, you know, so that can be around. I'm a big believer in the positive energy. So I love what I have. And to try to be charitable as well, and you know, I'm not doing this for free, but you know, and carry that kind of attitude and that kind of sense. I'm really fucking lucky, and just have you guys here and be hanging out is fucking a blessing for me. Hashtag blessed.
Where's the bar at?
The bar is in Dublin, California, where I live, and it's called the Bax Lounge. So if you know anything about tour buses, that's, you know, the front lounge is where, you know, you bring your parents up and everybody hangs out, and then the middle section's bunk alley, and it's kind of sacred, you don't make noise, but in the back lounge, it's where it's like Vegas back there, you don't talk about what happens. So if you're ever in Dublin, come out and reference this. Yes. How do you say it? Whoosh. And I'll buy you a drink. Questions? Yeah, man.
Is there really not a little sneak peek about what you can say about your project with Mike Portnoy and Bobby Blitz?
Yeah. I will say, without getting in trouble, what can I say? I already said, it's already standard tuning, and there might be cover songs involved, there may not be cover songs involved. It's not a project. It's 4 dudes. This is what happened. Mark said, hey, I want to do this. And they all live on the East Coast, and Mike lives East Coast. I won't disclose his. Mike lives here. But we all flew to his house on this weekend. I came out, and he's got an awesome place. He's got a recording studio in the bottom level. We went in there. We hashed these songs out. We drank a few beers. I left home the next day. His drum tracks were done. I finished mine in a day, and the other guys did theirs. It was just a quick jamming thing. It's not a project. Portland's really adamant about, I'm in 6 projects. It's not another project. It's something that we did this one time. So you'll find out pretty soon. We're getting it mixed now, and it's exciting. It was the first time that I tracked rhythm in 2006. I did some for the Blackening. So that's 13 years of not tracking rhythms, because Rob would track all the Machine Head rhythms. So I'd do my leads. So it was kind of like all these defining moments for me. Am I able to track? Am I good enough to track? And so it's been quite a fulfilling year for me in my fragile little psyche. Anybody else? Hey.
I heard the guys from Neurosis say that touring with Sabbath was really profound for them. They watched the Sabbath guys every night. Did you have a similar band that you toured with that really blew your mind every night?
Did you say Neurosis?
Neurosis.
Yeah. It was Black Sabbath. It was because Dio was out with them, and watching those guys play was, watching Tony and Geezer and Ronnie. And I think I learned more from Ronnie as a person, because he met us all, but then he remembered everybody's name. He remembered everybody's wife's name. He talked sports. I told him my story about listening to Heaven and Hell when I stole my first car. and then he proceeded to tell me his first car stealing stories. It was so cool. And so I think learning more, because the dude's an awesome professional, but just taking the time to meet people and remember their names. And one thing that I would always try to do in the Machine Head meet and greet, so it'd be like 30 people, is as they came through, hey, Johnny, is your name Christian?
Thomas.
Yeah, see? I would try to remember everybody's names as they came through. So I'd shake their name, shake their hand, and hey, Thomas, good to meet you. Huh? Oh, yeah. Is that better? That was my simulated crowd. Yeah, fucking kill it. But I try to remember everybody's name, and for the most part, and it was something to do as you're signing stuff, and so I would go through after, and we'd take the pictures, and I'd go, hey, Bobby, hey, blah, 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 and I'd do like 27 to 28 out of 30 a night, and I attribute that to Ronnie James Dio. Playing with Metallica was awesome too, and watching how they run their show, and so, yeah, those 2 bands. Anybody else? Somebody's got a question. Somebody wants to know something. It could be anything. Are we done?
Are the Raiders gone yet?
Are the Raiders gone yet?
They're moving.
They're moving to Vegas next year.
Yeah, okay.
But they're playing like shit, so they might as well be gone.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Good riddance.
James has a what's up?
What's the toughest part about being on tour?
The toughest part about being on tour? For me, being away from my family. And yeah, that is the toughest part. The toughest part about being on tour. There are other hard parts, but that's the one. You get to where sometimes you've got those 22 and a half hours. Well, in that case, it was the 21 hours to do those 3 hours on stage, and it made it all worth it. So And as a family and as a group, you know, you learn to understand that, and sometimes you don't, and sometimes it just doesn't work anymore. Anything else? Come on.
I got one more.
Yes.
You've been in a full-time band for a while, and now you're basically doing production projects all over.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like better?
He asked if I, you know, I've been in a full-time band for a while now. I'm doing kind of being a whore and banging every girl that comes along. Which do I like better? I like being in a band. I like being in a band and being able to jam too. I like having my cake and eating it too. And there's no reason why that can't happen in certain circumstances. I loved being in Machine Head. I loved writing as a band and creating and being, you know, that team. It was awesome, and we did some awesome shit. Like I said, I don't want the 2 years to take away from the 14. It was monumental stuff that we did. Nominated for a Grammy, getting to tour with all these bands, just fucking playing in front of thousands of people and headlining and doing great. And you know, writing music that means anything to anybody. You know, writing songs that people really felt, and that's probably the most fulfilling, is going out and watching somebody like learn your solo. It's one of the most honorable things for me. Is just like, you took the time to learn something that I created in that sense, and a lot of times it's not played right, but you're taking the time, and it's really cool in that sense. So yeah, I'd like to be in a band again. So who knows, maybe next year. What would I do if I couldn't be in music? Well, it depends on if I needed to make money or not. I'm a union carpenter, so I've been a Finnish carpenter for 30 years or so, and I had a great union job, and I'm still part of the union in the back. So I, you know, maybe go back, but now that we own the bar, you know, I don't have to get up at 5 in the morning and go stand on a ladder and install doors. But I could. I'll do it at my house. You know, I am not too proud to do physical labor. If anybody follows me on Instagram, you'll see that I dug a big old fucking trench in my backyard, a retaining wall, you know, by myself, to just, you know, clear the head of some stuff, and just to do it, you know, just to get out and do the physical labor. My whole house I've kind of renovated room by room, but now that we bought the business, I wouldn't have to do that. I'm going to sling drinks. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah, man.
What's the sound difference between your Kings V and your Explorer?
What's the difference?
Yeah.
Or why did I change?
Sound, what?
I'm finding that with the Furies, they're made of mahogany, and these are made of alder, I want to say. James? Yeah? I don't think you really know, but you're nodding. I think they're alder. And are they?
Yeah.
All right. And so it's a heavier, and this one's a baritone, so this thing weighs a ton. And the sustain, and you can just feel, you know, you can feel the sustain, you know, total Spinal Tap. But it's the position that I play it. You know, the V's, I'm so used to tucking them in right here, and this I can't. It took me a good cycle to figure out how I'm going to stand with this guitar, and I'm still kind of figuring it out. But it's definitely a lot more sustained with this guitar. It's more of a kind of maybe a rock guitar, and that's definitely a metal machine right there. You're not going to be playing, you know, hot-blooded on that thing. You could, but it's a metal guitar. And I changed because there's a lot of players on the Jackson roster now that have the Scotty in. Jeff Waters, Corey from Trivium, and oh yes, yeah. So there's a lot, and you know the Extroyer they started putting into production. They offered it to me, and it's like, yeah, my first real guitar was an Ibanez Destroyer, and you know I'm not saying that they ripped it off or anything, but it's very similar. It's very similar. So proud to have the Fury as my go-to now. Come on, spit them out.
Which sound boxes did you use today?
The boxes that I use today. I've got a Box flanger that I brought I've got the Zach Wah, and it has the auto return on it. And if you don't know what that is, it's you just step on it and it clicks it on, and when you step off, you don't have to like click it on. So the auto return is. What I usually do is Dunlop, who, one thing that I'm pretty proud of is that all my endorsers were like, somebody asked last night, hey, what did Jackson say when you quit Machine Head? And they were like, Jackson said, we sponsor the man, not the band, so, and that's what everybody's come to do, so that felt good to, if on my signing cards it just says Phil Demmel, it doesn't say any band on there, so it feels good to be independent in that sense and still have them want to work with me and be stoked to do it, so. And I got an MXR chorus and delay here that I use on some solos. But my rig at home is different. I've got a Violence fly rig that I have that I go through the effects loop, and it's got a micro amp on it, so it's got a boost and the chorus and delay, so when my solos come up, I don't have to rely on sound guys to bump my solos. It's just like everybody feels that. It's the ego button where it's like, yeah, I'm fucking ripping this lead, and sometimes you don't want it to be that fucking loud, so. There you go. Anybody? That's it? Yes.
What was it like meeting Dimebag?
Meeting Dime. Glad you asked me. I met him in 1990 first at a convention when he was Diamond Daryl. And I think Cowboys had just kind of come out, and when I toured with Violence, we went through Dallas, and it was 1988, and they hadn't really broke nationwide yet, but they were huge in that area, and we played the theater where they were, it's like their big deal, and all the pictures are on the wall, and they look like Van Halen, their hair's teased up, and it's Rex Rocker and it's Simon Darrell. And so we see, who's this band? We haven't heard of this band, and so we remember the name, and then a couple years later, Cowboys Hit Mail comes out, and they're like a thrash band now, and in the Bay Area, we took our thrash pretty seriously. Like, it was like, I was like, you don't get to just be a thrash band. You were a glam band like a couple years ago. I was just like, and so I was like, wasn't buying it at first. And I liked it, I couldn't deny that the groove on the record and some of the songs I liked, but wasn't fully buying it yet. And until Vulgar came out. Vulgar. But when Vulgar came out, there was no denying, what they were and how powerful they were and what intentions were. And then was he Diamond on that one, or did he become Dimebag on Vulgar? Nobody knows? There's a trivia. When did he? I think Vulgar he became Dimebag Daryl. And so my first festival run with Machine Heads in 2004, and we're playing the last shows at the Download Festival. And we're playing main stage, and Slayer's after us, and it's Slipknot, and it's Korn, and it's Metallica. It's the one that Lars didn't show up to, and Joey Jordison played, and Dave and Lombardo played, and so we're getting ready to go on, and I'm stoked because I'm amongst all these people meeting them for the first time, and Damage Plan rolls up, and they're fucking wasted, and it's like 2 in the afternoon, and Van and Dime are out, and so they're pretty hammered, and Slayer was supposed to play after us, but they got hung up with their visas, didn't make it or something like that. So they put Damage Plan on the main stage, and they bumped us up. And Dime gets out, and he's, hey man, and he's all, fucking hey man, we've been blasted to ashes, and he's all, you brought the shred to Machine Head, man, you're a hell of a player. And I was blown at this point, getting that, compliment from the best metal guitar player in the world, And so they're all, yeah, I think we're going on after you guys. And that was the point where like, no, man, you're going on in 20 minutes. You got, he's, oh, shit. So they do a couple of shots. He's fucking can barely walk up the thing. And goes out there and just fucking nails it. Just fucking nails it. And I think the Dime he was a conduit from, the music gods or whatever. It was just like music incarnate through Dime for all of us. He was this huge gift. He didn't know a bunch of theory from what I've heard. He didn't know a bunch of theory. He was just this musical being for all of us to enjoy. So if you ever had the chance to see him and you were, #blessed to see and witness that, and if you ever hung out with him, the dude was just a good time. He was that positive vibe and energy. You know, there's never a bummer being around fucking dying, you know. And so there you go. Is that my only dive story? Yeah, because that was 2004, and we did the Metal Hammer Awards, and Tim and fucking Nikki Sixx broke a fucking guitar in the thing, and backstage, and it was just, he was just like he was like the Tasmanian devil, if you know what that is, the little cartoon character, shit flying everywhere, and he wins this award, and they have to throw him up on stage. He's sitting on the end, and he's like takes his shoe off and throws it in the crowd, and that was the last time I saw him, and he was murdered a few months after that. So right on time for, he's still with us here. We're talking about him, and trying to pay that forward. So thanks for talking about him. Or thanks for bringing him up, because I forgot to. Anything else? Are we a wrap? That's time. So can I get one more fuck yeah? Fuck yeah! God bless you all. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm going to sign some stuff. And I think you wanted to say that. Thank you guys.